And this is the AM News. Details now. There was chaotic scenes at Parliament Appointments Committee after heated exchanges between the members and the leadership of the committee. The minority had raised questions about the number of judges President Akufo-Addo was appointing to the court, the Supreme Court, insisting the process adopted was unconstitutional. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has a wrap of the proceedings.
There were near chaotic scenes at the appointment committee today when two persons nominated by President Akufo-Addo came to take their term. First, the minority did raise some preliminary objection and even moved the motion. According to Mahama Yaga, NDC MP for Boko Central, who is also a member of this committee, the mode that the president has adopted in appointing new persons to the Supreme Court has been unconstitutional.
If anybody is a president and I'm to guide that person, I will show the person how to do the work properly. So please, we are not here doing partisan work. I said every president that I have known since the number was increased beyond 10 has violated this, and we parliamentarians have condoned it by allowing it to pass without ever questioning it.
Well, this is a position the majority on the committee disagreed with. It led to a lot of back and forth and chaos in the committee.
Until you put the motion to a vote, there will be no vetting. And if you want to disrespect the rules of parliament, and members of this committee, let's do it. But we are not going to throw the rules of parliament away. There's a motion on the floor. No. And we are going to vote on that motion. No rule.
Who doesn't have a right? You bring this into order. This committee has no power to entertain a motion aimed at stopping proceedings. For emphasis, I rule that preliminary objection is hereby dismissed as same is without merit. Thank you very much.
To raise a very serious issue. The ruling you read, I just noticed that this ruling was posted on a Facebook page of a known journalist an hour ago. And I can tender this for the sake of the protection of the person. It will be extremely damning that the ruling you have given did not come from you, because you remember I made a comment that within the short period that we left here, you were able to, in fact, you were with us even in the room after a point in time, you were able to put together this very comprehensive rule. I can read out what is on the social media page of the journalist if you want me to. Do you want me to read it? This is unacceptable. This is scandalous. Unacceptable. A serious committee of parliament, and you read something to us that is supposed to be coming from you. I feel scandalized.
Eventually, after so much back and forth, an agreement was reached, a vote was taken, and at 7-7, the vote was tied, and the motion that the minority moved was lost, and so the vetting had to proceed. Justice Issa Benasco was the first person to take her turn before the committee, answered questions on her judicial philosophy, answered questions on judicial corruption, and a host of other questions put to her by members of the committee.
Honorable Chair, it is my view that law is tied to life, and therefore, as much as possible, in interpreting the Constitution, one must do it in a manner that will not undermine the social benefits that the law was intended to achieve. Honorable Chair, in interpreting the Constitution, it must be done to achieve a social end, a social benefit, and should not be interpreted in abstract. Honorable Chair, I would say that interpreting a Constitution must be done purposively. It should not be narrow. It should not be doctrinaire. It should be liberal and broad so that it would achieve the benefits of it would achieve the benefits which the good people of this country intended it to achieve.
The report on these two justices is set to be put before the House when they return for the emergency sitting, or when the House resumes substantively at the end of October or early November. And the minority have already been insisting that it appears the president is intent on packing the Supreme Court with persons that have his own political philosophy. Reporting for Joy News, Kwiku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Away from Parliament House, civil society organizations in the WASH sector have vowed to hold all political parties accountable, demanding that WASH policies become integral to their manifestos. They are pushing for the creation of a national sanitation authority and urging the Ministry of Local Government to take over WASH responsibilities. Meanwhile, political parties are also promising to prioritize WASH. Here's a wrap of Joy News' national dialogue on WASH and climate change.
Sanitation and hygiene are critical in Ghana, especially as climate change worsens water scarcity, flooding, and sanitation issues. According to the World Bank, over 20% of Ghanaians lack access to clean drinking water, and more than 15% lack proper sanitation facilities. In the Greater Accra region, significant progress has been made in this sector. Project Coordinator for the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Sanitation and Water Project, Engineer George Esiedu, explained.
As at now, as he said, we are hovering around, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, 25% of improved sanitation in Ghana from the 15% that we used to know from 2015. Access to water, we are told around 88% thereabout.
Matthias Madsen, representing the Embassy of Denmark, says these gains may not be enough to attain the Sustainable Development Goal 6.
We need the private sector to be engaged in some of the aspects, because even though progress has been made, the data is saying that the SDG 6 in 2030 is still out of reach. So we need to accelerate, we need to disrupt, and that's the reason I'm telling we need to also look out from the WASH sector, we need to learn from other industries.
However, WASH specialist with UNICEF, Samuel Amwaku-Mensah, believes we need to accelerate the process towards universal and sustainable WASH development.
It is therefore important that we look to maintain an institutional arrangement that can continue to drive progress in this area, consolidate the gains made, and also accelerate the achievement of our targets.
The progress made in these areas is threatened by climate change, underscoring the need for resilient systems and adaptive strategies to protect public health and promote sustainable development. With the general elections fast approaching, civil society organizations in the WASH sector have vowed to push political parties to prioritize sanitation, hygiene, and water issues. Professor Basilia is the Executive Secretary of CONUAS.
For last year, didn't show our ministry spending much on climate or the budgeting for it clearly. But with the new innovations coming and the focal person for it, it's hopeful that we're really planning and budgeting for climate, because we can't have climate issues being run like a project.
Farouk Brahma represented the People's Dialogue on Human Settlement.
I feel strongly the challenge is a water WASH governance problem.
Harold Eseku is the Senior Sanitation Specialist at World Bank.
So we would like to urge our political parties, as we prepare and as we plan, on the side of the development partners, that let's make this an integral part of what we do.
At the dialogue, some political parties presented their vision for the WASH sector. The NPP, represented by the former chief executive of the Environmental Protection Agency, Engineer Kwabena Kokofu, says they are looking to increase funding to the WASH sector to push their gains.
There is a need to increase public spending on sustainable WASH delivery. And how do you do that, given the constraints in the public purse? There is an opportunity to reduce economic impact on poor sanitation. Ghana loses $290 million annually. That is $12 per person per year, representing 1.6% of GDP. So if you're able to improve upon sanitation, you're going to save most of this amount or these monies.
The NDC says they will make sure to complete all outstanding projects and increase rural access to wash facilities. Dr. Peter Otukono represented them.
And when we assumed power in 2009, the total urban water supply coverage was around 56.5%. And we have had to invest heavily through several programs and projects to extend rural water supply. And as at the time we were leaving power, it was around 75.6% of rural water coverage. And I believe that is also a significant leap. And if our friends had continued, perhaps we would have made some significant improvement.
Keta, an ancient city, faces an existential environmental crisis as the National Disaster Management Organization, that's NADMO, warns that 5,000 homes along the coast of Keta could be lost to the sea within 5 years if urgent actions are not taken to protect the rapidly eroding shoreline. While Ghana's coastline is expected to see a significant sea level rise of up to 1 meter by 2100, environmentalists highlight that Keta's coast is eroding at an African leading rate of 2.2 meters per year due to climate change. In part one of our climate-focused Vanishing Shores, Joy News' Carlos Caloni highlights the devastating impact of the rising ocean levels on the lives and livelihoods of Keta's perplexed residents.
A 2017 World Bank's report, Enhancing Resilience to Climate and Ecosystem Changes in Semi-Arid Africa, highlights that coastal dwellers in Ghana face significant threats from the rising sea levels, projected to increase by 0.3 to 1 meter by 2100. This will lead to increased flooding and coastal erosion, which will jeopardize homes, infrastructure, and livelihoods, particularly in fishing communities where over 2 million people are at risk. Keta is no exception. In 2021, the National Disaster Management Organization reported that 200+ homes were destroyed by these high tides in the Keta municipality alone, which rendered about 4,000 residents displaced.
We have a lot of the house here, sea come to spoil, and the summer house too, the sea come to spoil. They have a lot of about 150 houses. We go on the sea inside.
This is my house, but the sea spoil them. Spoil my canoe, my everything, my 3 bedrooms, everything spoiled. But right now I sleep for outside.
Our front there, they destroyed the house, like 7 houses in my front here.
The municipal NADMO director, God knows, Blebu, tells me 2/3 of the main Keta town now has already been swallowed by the sea.
239 houses for now are affected. Some are partially collapsed, some are entirely gone. And those people living in those houses now, some left the town, some are living with their other family members, some are still living in their dilapidated houses because they have no place to go. The main Keta Central, about 2/3, is in the sea. If nothing is being done, I'm afraid about 4,000 or 5,000 houses along the coast here will be gone. In a matter of 5 years to come, all those houses will be gone.
Here is Michael Bumegbe, the chief fisherman of the Keji Copper community. He describes the recurring tidal waves' impact on fishing as disastrous.
2021, In 2021, tidal waves destroyed many things, including 16 boats, fishing gears, and outboard motors. A boat this size cost about 200,000 cedis. This situation is negatively impacting our fishing business as our catch has drastically dwindled.
These fishmongers say the situation is severely hurting their businesses.
Our fishmongering business has become a major challenge. Rising sea levels make it difficult for our husbands to make a good catch. It's a major headache for us. This small piece of fish on the oven costs 80 to 85. It's not up to standard, but that's the current price. When we take it to market, we don't make any profit.
A visit to the Keta Central Market, once teeming with assorted fish, now reveals a hopeless situation. Low fish availability has driven up costs, making affordability a Herculean challenge.
About 5 years ago, this one, the crab that you are seeing here, is just 2 cedis, but now it's 10 cedis. Because the fishermen are saying it's because of the rising sea level. That's why the things are like this. Because the sea is destroying a lot of things, their homes and their canoes. So that's why they've increased the price for us.
Apart from fishing, farming is also a major source of livelihood for many residents here in the Keta municipality. However, the rising levels of the sea due to climate change is equally affecting farmers. Mr. Amakuji is one such farmer here in the Keta municipality.
If the climate change or the sea level on high, it will affect us. If you can't plus the bed for us, and then the crop we planted for the bed, the water can spoil it. When we spend a lot of money.
That's the seaside.
That's the seaside.
How about the lagoon side?
Lagoon side is also the same thing. The lagoon come inside the bed. So all the tomatoes and the shallot we plant there, we also blast it.
So the devastating impact of the rising levels of the sea is biting hard on residents here in Keta. Reporting from Keta in the Volta region, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Climate Focus is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
Let's get into our election headquarters. And election headquarters is always brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity, and the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, SEMA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, AICPA, and together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, also Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. Now, with less than 4 months until the general election, the race between parliamentary aspirants across the 275 constituencies of the country is intensifying. Constituents are making demands, expecting candidates to address their concerns. In our focus on the Ashaiman constituency, we find residents divided over whether to vote, while both the NPP and the NDC aspirants believe they deserve to lead. Here's an excerpt from the 30-minute feature on the Ashaiman constituency.
This constituency is bedeviled with a number of numerous developmental challenges, ranging from deplorable state of roads, health infrastructure, and overpopulation. So the question we are asking residents today is this: what will inform their votes in the upcoming general election?
What's going to inform my vote in 2024? Maybe I might not even vote, because the road in Ashama, I don't know whether we are part of Ghana or not.
For so many years now, almost 5 years now, this road, they haven't done anything about it.
Inadequate educational infrastructure across the constituency is a major concern, not only for parents, but students as well.
Before we come here every morning, the distance from where we are to this place is about, let's say, 3 kilometers. Very far.
Up to now, Ashama, we are not seeing any development for Ashama. As you can see our market here. We are sitting, we are sleeping. The market is not going.
The NPP has a new candidate, an educationist, Justice Kineso, who comes face to face with the two-term incumbent MP, Ernest Nogbe. The question is, what record are they riding on to get voted?
I have chalked a lot of successes by instituting the MP smoke in the municipality, by engaging both private and then public schools in a MP schools, by donation of teaching and learning materials.
Born and bred in a place like Ashama, you should be concerned about what goes on Ashama. I went on to lead school owners, having become a proprietor myself within the area, through to the Lashibi Mission Camp area. Then went on to win elections to become a leader of school owners across the country.
The demand for good roads, a vibrant economy, appreciable social and educational infrastructure, sound healthcare system, among others, are the top issues voters in the Ashaiman constituency would hinge their vote on come December.
A full documentary airs on 15th of August 2024 at on the Joy News channel at 8:30 p.m. Now, away from that, NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been described as a man of integrity who abhors corruption by nature. His running mate, Dr. Matthew Pukuprempe, who publicly defended his credibility, said he will not be corrupted by power, neither will he countenance corruption under his administration if elected. And he made these comments when freelance investigative journalist Manasseh Azura Wuni presented to him copies of his book, The President Ghana Never Got.
Serve a flag bearer who will not be corrupted by power. And I serve a flag bearer who Ghanaians watch the space. I don't believe he would condone corruption. Neither do I believe he will cover corruption. But if we look at the word corruption in this English meaning, you can be corrupt from your even mind. And it had nothing to do with even graft or theft of resources. In your manner, it can lead to corruption and things like that. So I also feel passionately that we have used the word corruption too much in this country.
And still from our election headquarters, NDC parliamentary candidate for Tema Central, Ebi Bright, has questioned government's political will in making any meaningful improvement in educational infrastructure. Her assertion comes on the back of government's failure to complete e-block and Get Fund projects scattered around the country after more than 7 years of taking over reins. She says the next NDC government will right these wrongs from 2025. Ebi Bright was speaking at an engagement with teachers at Tema ahead of the 2024 elections. Here's more from our correspondent Kwame Yanka.
This is the third time NDC parliamentary candidate Ebi Bright is taking a shot at the Tema Central constituency seat after 2 unsuccessful attempts. The constituency has voted for the New Patriotic Party in previous elections, but believed she could get the nod this time around, as she shares her vision and that of NDC for teachers and education in the country. Crucial for her are policies that address teachers' welfare, accommodation, promotion, among other areas that will enable teachers give off their best. Ebi Bright says teachers currently struggle with accommodation in the constituency and must benefit from housing projects as part of redevelopment of Tema. She wondered if government was committed to educational infrastructure.
And so, of course, like our flag bearer promised, we're going to start with completing abandoned projects. To be honest with you, there are not that many projects which are completely ill-conceived. Every time they come up with a project, it is in response to a perceived need. But then, of course, the process is usually beset with corruption and all kinds of situations. And by the time those projects see the light of day or they don't see the light of day, you and I are fatigued. And the need for those projects have probably expired their time. So if anybody is really interested in rescuing the country, we need to revisit the rationale behind all these uncompleted projects and see that we complete them however possible.
Every Bright used the opportunity to explain how teachers could benefit from NDC's 24-hour economy.
Even if you start out as just a mere, excuse my language, factory worker, you want to be able to move up. And if we accord them the opportunities to study, you know, adult education, or to better their grades and move on to study, I think that would be doing our whole social environment some justice. And this is where I'm looking forward to teachers like you, hoping that you will take up the challenge to take on to teach a few subjects, you know, a few times a week, or, you know, every day of the week, as also you're appropriating the 24-hour economy, making extra hours for yourself, but also making sure that the downtime hours in our educational sector are used up for something profitable. However, we need to look at the infrastructure in our schools, the security, light. And so when we talk about the 24-hour economy, people assume that we're talking about something in an abstract. We're very well aware of the costs of this, but it is the only way.
Meanwhile, Deputy Greater Accra Regional Treasurer for NDC, Kennedy Hedo, commended Every Bright for this engagement.
Page 69, from page 69 going, it talks about teachers.
It's quite clear that teachers are worse off under this government. Because NDC knows the importance of teachers, page 69 of our 2020 manifesto stated how we intended to improve the conditions of teachers and education at large. NDC introduced policies such as Get Fund, but it's a pale shadow of itself under this NPP administration. Every Bright pointed out that Tama Technical Institute is not receiving the needed attention as she courts companies to support struggling schools.
Let's do some business stories. The CEO of the Chamber of Agribusiness, Anthony Morrison, has attributed the increasing cost of intra-African food trade to excessive taxation at various border points. In an interview with Joy Business, Morrison emphasized the need for a harmonized tax system to streamline trade and promote the advancement of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Our challenge is first, the food trade movement, even between Ghana and Nigeria. How long it takes to move food between Ghana's border to Nigeria's border, and how long even at the border it takes you to cross to Nigeria's market. So we need to look at the food trade area very importantly. We also need to look at the West Africa tax harmonization, because at every point in time you are paying tax in the movement of food. That is all adding to the food price build-up in both countries. So at the end of the day, it's making your food more expensive while entering another country. So you are better off selling in Ghana at a well-discounted price so that you stop going through all the other encumbrances and challenges you have to go through. What is also not in place is the fact that we need to work in a very smooth way as a sub-region and to depend on each other in a way. For instance, Ghana imports a lot of tomatoes from Burkina Faso. We import onion from Nigeria, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso itself. What is Nigeria importing from us? Are we building data as a country that will inform our competitiveness within the AFTA? AFTA will not happen probably in our lifetime. When European Union started, it took them years before they actualized where they are today. It will take 30 years for us to be able to even do half of what the AFTA is promising. But then we must start from a place, and it's very important. A lot of other actions are being taken to mitigate and integrate some of the areas that are of challenges to the agriculture sector.
The lack of tailored policy and attention has slowed the growth of the social enterprise ecosystem. That is according to some stakeholders in the social enterprise ecosystem. The sector, which boasts of about 26,000 enterprises in Ghana, often leverage business models to champion social change. Speaking to Joy Business, Executive Director for Densu Associates, Dolores Dixon, called for effective collaboration to foster the growth of the sector. And she spoke at a stakeholder engagement as part of the Social Enterprise Accelerator Program organized by Densu Associates with support from MasterCard Foundation. This ends it for business updates and the AM News Bulletin. But don't go away. News reviews coming up next. And Dr. Kwame Asasanti joins us for the news review segment. He's head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Stick and stay.